The Education Ministry over its failure to shut colleges of education. A strike by its teachers enters day 64.
I don't think the minister will have that moral courage to close down the colleges of education.
The sector ministries urging restraint tonight in the face of calls for the closure of the colleges of education, as it insists it is working tirelessly to resolve the impasse.
I will appeal to the students to exercise restraint. We've engaged them till now and will continue to engage them.
And later in the bulletin, public health emergency as refrigerators at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital morgue are unable to preserve bodies following power fluctuations. We will hear from relatives who are now compelled to transfer the bodies of their deceased.
I personally had a body there of an auntie, and realizing the current situation, we had to transfer the body from the place to a different mortuary.
We'll hear from the Mortuary Workers Association. Now, also later, Student Loan Trust Fund warns defaulters risk damaging their creditworthiness, which will deny them future assistance in the financial sector as it begins merging data with Credit Reference Bureau.
For those who refuse to pay, those who fail to pay, those who want to take advantage of the system, then the Credit Reference Bureau will come to bite them.
We will hear from employers because now they're being urged to ensure their employees owing the fund pay up or face legal action. And in business,
import inflation slows significantly for the month of July despite cedi's depreciation over the past month.
And in sports, Ghana's Ibrahim Sulemana and Atalanta are confident of upsetting Real Madrid in the Super Cup final due to start in an hour.
And later, about 5,000 homes along Keita's coast will be swallowed by ravaging sea within the next 5 years if immediate action is not taken to protect the fast eroding coastline.
5,000 houses along the coast here will be gone in a matter of 5 years to come.
More as the residents there lament the dire impact of the rising sea levels on their livelihoods in the latest episode of Climate Focus here on Newsnight. My name is Evans Mensah.
I'm Fosira Safo.
We have details after this. And you're still live here on Newsnight. It's Enjoy 99.7 FM.
You can share your thoughts with us on our social media handles. We're Joy 99.7 FM. On WhatsApp with 055 111 1997. Well, tonight there is pressure on the Ministry of Education by the minority on Parliament's Education Committee to shut down the colleges of education. Students at various colleges have begun leaving for their homes as the strike by the college teachers enters its 64th day with no resolution in sight. Well, we know that last week the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana called on the principals of the colleges of education to close down the schools with barely 3 weeks left for the academic calendar to end. The students say they have no confidence in their teachers and the fact that they will return anytime soon is not in sight. Take a listen to them.
Well, I think it makes sense because since our cries for the lecturers to return to the classroom hasn't been heard, we would want to go on because feeding on campus and not going to lectures is too much to bear. So we'd rather be at home when they return, they will also come back.
Nobody is holding you to go home financially and...
Well, our parents mostly believe that when we're on campus, we study. So they actually put in efforts to help us sustain ourselves.
There are some of us that have left, a lot of them. For me, I like to study a lot. And I came with an aim to attain a first class, so I've decided to put it upon myself that I put in much effort. But it seems I'm also getting tired because of what is happening at the moment. Yeah, but most of my friends have left.
Well, we're hearing from the ranking member on the Education Committee, Peter Nochu-Kotoy, who's asking government to address the concerns of the teachers as a matter of urgency to avoid disrupting the academic calendar.
And as a committee, we are finding it very difficult to have that moral courage again to talk to them that go back to the classroom as we did last year and they listen to us. So our position is pay them what is due them now and then let them go back. The migration can be taken care of after they have gone back to the classroom. So that is our position. But we are thinking of meeting them again next week.
But the Deputy Education Minister, John Intim-Fojo, is calling for restraint in the wake of calls for the closure of colleges of education.
Needs to be done to resolve the strike situation with SETAC members is underway. In fact, members of SETAC are some of the very important stakeholders we have in our education system. They are the ones who train our teachers, and therefore they play a key role. We accord them utmost importance, and so we don't treat their matters lightly at all. We've had series of engagements. The strike has been protracted. However, we shall not relent in engaging the leadership of CETAC further until a resolution is reached, a resolution that will be acceptable to both parties and make them happy to come back to the classroom. But we are appealing. We will continue to appeal to CETAC members to come back to the classroom and offer their services. Their services are most essential. So we appeal with them. The ones we engage in them, they must return. We have further engaged Prinkoff, and they have indicated their commitment to ensuring that any distortions that may have occasioned in the academic calendar, they would partner us, and we're going to together find a way to straighten things up. And so we appeal to members of CETAC and the leadership of CETAC that their concerns, we are discussions with their leadership. They should come back, and certainly an amicable resolution will be reached.
So while you are talking to them to come back, like I'm saying, time is not on our side as well, because just September 7th, academic activities are coming to an end without anything taking place. Are the students right to call for a shutdown of the school?
I will appeal to the students to exercise restraint. We've engaged them till now, and we'll continue to engage them together with the members of CETAC. There will definitely be a resolution.
Before the end of the academic term?
There will definitely be a resolution for learning to continue.
So foresee the government will not shut down the schools, but there's an appeal there to CETAC to simply call off the strike. Will they heed that? Fidelis Kamai is the communications directorate of the CETAC. He works there, and a member of that committee joins us on the line right now. Fidelis, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. You've had the appeal there from the Deputy Minister. Is this something that you heed to? Say simply call off the strike, because there certainly will be a resolution.
Cherished listeners, I have heard what the Deputy Minister of Education has said. But the solution to this, our impasse, lies with the government, or let me say his sector ministry. So instead of pleading with us to go back to the classroom, they should do the needful, and we will willingly go back to the classroom.
The last time we spoke, you had 3 issues. 2 of them had been resolved. Is that still the case? You are waiting for the outstanding matter of the migration and the equitable treatment of your members. It's the same as you have with the university lecturers. Has that been resolved now?
It hasn't been resolved yet. We are still waiting for the migration to be done. Sometimes you will hear the Director General of GTEC telling you that they've started with the migration. It will end in September. When we first had a meeting with the Minister of Education, the roadmap he gave was that by 26th of August, the migration would have been done. But as we speak, we have no evidence to ascertain what they are telling us. When the GTEC director also went to another school, he said that the migration will be done by end of October. So they keep on shifting different dates. So it makes it very difficult for one to believe or trust the information they are giving us. We expect that they invite us as part of the monitoring team to look at exactly what is happening, because that was the agreement we had with the minister. He said that he's going to constitute a monitoring team so that every week, when they are done with the migration of a particular number of tutors, we'll go look at the gray areas or the challenges that they have encountered, and then they will give them the go-ahead to proceed to the following week's migration. But as we speak, it's about 3 weeks since that exercise started, but we are not involved in any of those. So it's very difficult for us to believe what is happening.
Fidelis, but government has met 2 of your demands out of 3. It means they've met you halfway. Why don't you return to the classroom with barely 3 weeks to the end of the academic calendar?
The ones they claim they have been met are not the ones we are even more interested in. For example, if you look at the top up bra, how much was it? 1,000 cedis. So if you freeze my salary, which is more than the 1,000 cedis, and you give me 1,000 cedis, what are you expecting me to do or say? So they need to do the rightful one. That's the migration and the arrest. Those are the issues, the important issues.
Well, Fidelis, thank you very much. And so clearly, they are not in the position just yet to call off the strike. I want to bring in Dr. Clement Park, who's a deputy ranking member on the Education Committee. He's listening into this conversation. We had Dr. Park from the Deputy Education Minister. They don't plan to close down the schools, but he's also making the point that he's simply appealing where we stand right now. I know you were trying at some point to try and intervene and mediate. What has happened to that process?
Well, Ivan, let me say good evening to you and good evening to our cherished listeners. And I say good evening to my constituents in Busa South. Ivan, this impasse has dragged on for 64 days today, largely because of government's inability to meet its obligation, as the members of CTAC have rightly indicated. The resolution of this matter lies in the bosom of government. Do the needful by ensuring that the commitments that you have made, that we are all aware of, you meet them. Let the migration commence. Let them know what is going on. And indeed, also pay them their outstanding allowances. If government were to be mindful and to take the needed action, this matter would have been resolved. Even 64 days of a strike. Students in our colleges of education have been in school without any tutoring.
And you want to shut down because of that?
They are feeding themselves and they are also exposed to danger.
Yeah, Clement, I've heard you say that because of that, 64 days and counting, this it's no longer tenable to continue with the academic calendar as you have it, and you want a shutdown?
Well, that would make sense, and that is what the students are asking for.
The education minister just explained that, yes, they've heard that, but they rather appeal because that closure it's not one that is in the interest of the education of those children. What is it that your committee plans to do about this at this moment?
Well, as the ranking member indicated, we have made several interventions. Last year, we made an intervention. This year, when the matter came up, we made an intervention. We brought the ministers for education and employment and labor to parliament. There was a committee of the whole. They indicated to us in parliament the steps they were going to take. We had even planned to meet, quote unquote, the feuding parties. And then we got wind that the minister had called them for a meeting. And after that meeting, it was our hope that the matter will be resolved. Well, almost a month down the line, we are where we are. And from the position of CTAD, as eloquently presented by their representative, it doesn't look like this matter will be resolved even in the next 2 weeks. So are we going to continue to keep the students all this time, exposing them to danger and also the financial burden that they will have to endure? So I think we ought to do the needful by letting the students go home. Besides that, government has the alternative in doing the needful by resolving the matter as soon as possible.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clement Park there. Dr. Samuel Atintonu is the president of the Conference of Principals of Colleges of Education, also joins us. And Dr. Atintonu, when we last spoke, this last subject of the migration to pave way for the equitable treatment of the teachers at the colleges was one that you said was about to begin. I think you said at the end of July. Has it started?
Good evening to you and your cherished listeners, and to all the 46 principals of colleges of education, including myself. And let me also extend a good evening to my good brother, Honorable Clement Park, and the CTAC rep, who happens to be Fidelis from Accra College of Education, and to everybody who's listening to this program. First of all, I think the principals are very much concerned about the students being around and not being taught for close to 2 months now. But when the strike started, there were some engagements. So we need to understand that in the context. And there's no principal who is not actually interested in the welfare of our tutors as well as of the students. I mean, we are there as managers of the colleges because of the students as well as our staff. When they are disgruntled, definitely they can't do any work. So we took the matter very serious with government. Of course, we are the immediate employer, so we are part of the problem.
Well, Dr. Tintono, clearly, I mean, I know you did what you did at the beginning. It's 64
Yeah.
days
So
now. It
what
hasn't
I'm saying is, I'm coming to the point. Allow me to speak, if you wouldn't mind. So you asked the question whether the migration has started. Yes, it started on July 29th. Remember, on the July 24th, we told we engaged with CETAC, and we came out with an MOA, which clearly spelled out roadmap. One was that the top-up book and research allowance to be paid by August 9th. That has happened by last week. A few colleges have some issues which have not been paid. That I knew. But as of today, there were 10 colleges that they listed that they have not been paid. And I know the issue that they have. We processed it on GitMix, and there were some challenges which we are talking to controller to resolve them. Some of them, the money is with Minister of Finance, which will also be paid. Fidelis, who spoke, is from Accra College of Education. He can confirm that he received his money last week. Now, the main issue had to do with the migration of the staff to the universities that were affiliated to 5 universities: UG, UW, KNUST, UDS, and then UCC. They started with the UCC College of Education. There are 14 colleges that are affiliated with that. By last week, Friday, they had completed the migration of the staff, and we have been served with a letter to meet the migration team, which is spearheaded by Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, the GTEC, Minister of Finance, Minister of Education. Per the arrangement, if you look at the MOA that we signed, the CITAC, SENSAC, and PRINCOF are to meet the team for interaction, for them to give us a report to know how it has been done and look at some of the challenges that are there. So tomorrow, they have been invited, or we have been invited to meet the team. So we are meeting them tomorrow at 10 a.m.
When will the migration end? When will you complete it? What's your
Of course, there are 46 colleges, and there are 5 universities that we are affiliated to. So per the roadmap, by the end of August, they should have completed that. We'll meet them tomorrow and find out whether that deadline is something that's attainable or they may need some extension.
64
but my
days.
understanding per the agreement is that by August ending, these exercises have been completed.
64 days with no teachers in the classroom. Isn't it time to shut down the colleges?
I mean, I think last week, let me also explain that when the strike happened, there were some engagement. Remember, they went on strike because of NLC awards. NLC, if the government failed to implement, which delayed, then it is NLC who have to go to court to trigger or force government to do the implementation. Unfortunately, I think when we're engaging with NLC, they have asked CITAC to call off the strike to pave way for them to go to court for government to enforce whatever the ruling had been. CITAC refused. So one of the things that complicated the matter, and I'm happy Parliament, there's a Parliament Select Committee on Education, also intervened. But CITAC have to sort of have compromise.
Well, they said they won't compromise.
When you are in a negotiation, per the Labour Act that they are referring to, it says clearly, if you are negotiating, then one party cannot twist the other party's arm.
Yeah, Dr.
So being on strike is not something that's helpful to the whole process.
Yeah, they've heard you, but tonight they've repeated they are not going to call off the strike. Question is, with 64 days and counting, with only 3 weeks for that academic calendar to end, is it still tenable to pretend that the academic activity can actually go on?
I don't want to hear that we pretend. We don't pretend.
But there's nothing happening.
Part of this, the problem, the issue what happened, when they were on strike, our students go on what we call a practical teaching activity. It took us 6 weeks. They need 6 weeks to do that. So when they were not teaching, 6 weeks of what we are talking about, the students were on the field doing what we call clinical activity, which is a critical component of it, STS. The teachers know that. The students know that. So it's not entirely the case that the entire 64 was wasted.
So you won't shut down the schools with 3 weeks to go?
We're engaging. I think where we have gotten to, I mean, tomorrow there's an engagement with them, and they know about that one at another level. Today we had a meeting, and CITAC itself are coming tomorrow for us to meet.
Thank you very much. Dr. Samuel Atintola there is the president of the Conference on Principals of Colleges of Education, PRINCOF there. And let's stay with matters relating to education. Do you owe And there's a big question, Fosti. Do you owe the student loan trust?
At this point, I'm glad I don't.
Okay.
Because they are warning that if you defaulted on your student loan payments, then be aware that this may affect your ability to access loans from banks and other financial institutions in the future. The Student Loan Trust Fund has synchronized its data with the Credit Reference Bureau, which will impact individual credit ratings, Evans. Now, as a result, defaulters may face challenges assessing financial facility in the future due to a compromised credit score system. Now, Rosemary Ai, she's head of repayment and resource mobilization at the Student Loan Trust Fund. She's urging defaulters to pay up, else they would fail to redeem their credibility.
So that you have a good credit score that will translate into, if you want to access a bank loan, a car loan, a mortgage facility, then you already have established a good credit score for yourself. So the Credit Reference Bureau in itself is not a disadvantage at all. But for those who refuse to pay, those who fail to pay, those who want to take advantage of the system, then the Credit Reference Bureau will come to bite them. Definitely. When the Credit Reference Bureau activities are strengthened and it begins to do its job fully as it is intended, of course, we will get a lot more people paying back their loans. And so it is in your interest to actually pay and start paying. The good thing about student loan is that you don't need a lump sum, big chunk of money to pay your loan. With as little as 100 cedis, 150 cedis a month, 200 cedis a month, you can consistently be paying your loan and be building a good credit score. And so there are some misconceptions out there with students. Some will tell you, I do not work and so I cannot pay my loan. But when you look at the phone credit consumption of people who claim that they do not work, sometimes it goes beyond 200 cedis a month. So seriously speaking, if you want to pay your loans, we believe that you can. It is just, positioning yourself mentally and being a good citizen and paying off your loan.
Evans, employers have also been urged to comply with the legal obligations of ensuring their employees who are beneficiaries repay their loans or risk legal action.
The law, if you do not do it, it means that you are breaching. And yes, so you are culpable. And as we speak, we actually have some employers that we have moved up the notch with their non-compliance. We have very flexible engagement.
What exactly do you mean? Are you legally taking them on? Are they in court for prosecution? What exactly do you mean?
Yes, we've moved up the notch because yes, after all the engagement and interactions where they fail to comply, then we bring in the police, which is part of the legal compliance process. So yes, we have some employers that are responding to invitations from the forensics unit of the Ghana Police Service in respect of student loan non-compliance. We would want to add again that in the Act there is a senior loan provision. The senior loan provision makes student loan the most senior loan apart from statutory deductions. And so any borrower or any staff, any person who takes a loan, the student loan needs to be deducted after the SNET deductions and after PAYE and any other statutory. Student loan is the next one that employers need to deduct and pay to us.
Yes, so live on News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. I want to take you to Keta now, where that ancient town faces an existential environmental crisis. As the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, warns that 5,000 homes along the coast of Keta could be lost to the sea within 5 years if urgent action is not taken to protect the rapidly eroding shoreline, while Ghana's coastline is projected to witness a significant sea level rise of up to 1 meter by 2021 to 100, really. That's a long time away. Environmentalists highlight that Keta's coast is eroding at an African leading rate of 2.2 meters per year due to climate change. In part one of our climate-focused Vanishing Shores, Joy News' Carlos Caloni highlights the devastating impact of the rising ocean levels on the lives and livelihoods of Keta's perplexed residents.
A 2017 World Bank's report highlights that coastal dwellers in Ghana face significant threat from the rising sea levels, projected to increase by 0.3 to 1 meter by 2100. This will lead to increased flooding and coastal erosion, which will jeopardize homes, infrastructure, and livelihoods, particularly in fishing communities where over 2 million people are at risk. Keta is no exception. In 2021, the National Disaster Management Organization reported that 200 plus homes were destroyed by these high tides in the Keta municipality alone, which rendered about 4,000 residents displaced.
We have a lot of the house here still come to spoil, and the summer house too still come to spoil. They have a lot of about 150 house we go on the sea inside.
This is my house, but the sea spoil them. Spoil my canoe, my everything, my 3 bedrooms, everything spoiled. But right now I sleep for outside.
The municipal NADMO director, God knows, Blebu, tells me 2/3 of the main Keta town now has already been swallowed by the sea.
239 houses for now are affected. Some are partially collapsed, some are entirely gone, and those people living in those houses now, some left the town, some are living with their other family members, some are still living in their dilapidated houses because they have no place to go. The main Keta Central, about 2/3 is in the sea. If nothing is being done, I'm afraid about 4,000-5,000 houses along the coast here will be gone. In a matter of 5 years to come, all those houses will be gone.
Here is Michael Bumegbe, the chief fisherman of the Keji Copper community.
2021 In 2021, tidal waves destroyed many things, including 16 boats, fishing gears, and outboard motors. A boat this size cost about 200,000 cedis. This situation is negatively impacting our fishing business as our catch has drastically dwindled.
So the devastating impact of the rising levels of the sea is biting hard on residents here in Keta. Reporting from Keta in the Volta region, my name is Carlos Caloni for Joy News.
Carlos Caloni there with part one of our climate focus titled Vanishing Shores. Up next is Business. George Raffi joins me in the studio. George, what's happening?
Well, coming up in business, import inflation slows significantly for the month of July, despite cedi's depreciation over the past month. An Institute of Fiscal Studies describes Ghana's economy as very weak and fragile, despite recent signs of recovery. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Synthestanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal. You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, inflation for imported items for last month witnessed some significant reduction. Now, this is despite the Ghana cedi recording some serious depreciation in May and June this year. There is more in the following report.
These numbers were captured in the Ghana Statistical Service data covering inflation numbers for the month of July. Inflation normally is a measurement of past events. Therefore, it was the expectation challenges with the Ghana cedi in the month of May and June should have impacted on prices. However, based on the Ghana Statistical Services data, import inflation dropped from 17.5% to 15.6%. This has been described as interesting by some market watchers. Another development that has also been described as interesting is the food inflation bet that has also gone down by a higher margin. When you look at it from July last year to July 2024, and even on the month-on-month level, Garden X posted the highest increase in prices compared to its situation last year. However, when you look at local inflation, the trend is going up. Meanwhile, the 20.9% inflation rate posted for July 2024 was the lowest the country has recorded over the past 3 years. It is also the third decline since January 2024.
And that is a business desk report. Meanwhile, government statistician Professor Samuel Kobneni has maintained that we should not forget about the impact of the base year effect and how that has impacted on the current consumer price index for July 2024.
It's always important to have clarity in our minds, the connection between the year-on-year and the month-on-month. As you rightly said, the year-on-year food inflation has dropped by 2.5 percentage points from 24.0 to 21.5 for July 2020. Inflation in the last 3 months is largely attributed to the base effect. Then going forward, if there is nothing like base effect, given what happened last year, then definitely one has to be concerned. It means the current happenings on the market is what is going to drive the rate of inflation between now and December.
And that is government statistician Professor Samuel Kobneni. Now, the Institute of Fiscal Studies has criticized Ghana's or is worried about Ghana's economy, describing it as weak and fragile, despite improvement seen in some key economic indicators. Speaking at the press briefing on the mid-year budget review, senior fellow at the Institute, Dr. Said Boache, stressed the importance of achieving a single-digit inflation despite the recent slowdown.
The Ghanaian economy remains very weak and fragile as the macroeconomy remains highly unstable, leading to far below par economic growth rate. For instance, although inflation rate reduced from the astronomical rate of 54.1% in December 2022, down from the rates recorded from April 2022 onwards, the inflation rate of 22.8% is still the highest in Ghana since January 2004. July inflation rate of 20.9%. That is still the worst since January 2004.
Dr. Said Boache is a senior fellow at the Institute of Fiscal Studies, Ghana. So what areas should government focus in bringing inflation down further to hit the end of year target? Let's listen to Professor Patrick Sumi. He is an economist.
So when you look at the more disaggregated numbers, you begin to see housing, utilities, the prices have inched up a little bit. And then the fact that inflation of domestically produced items are still higher. All of those hints at rising cost of production. And in spite of the fact that we say food prices, or there's been a much bigger reduction in food inflation, there are some big ticket items that have seen actually, whose prices are still quite high. So you hope that as we're entering the harvesting season, things will come down a little bit.
Economist Professor Patrick Esumi. Now, the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Michael Ochibefi, is calling for the inclusion of sales and marketing structures in the operations of public sector institutions. He was speaking to Joy Business after the opening of the ceremony for a 2-day National Sales and Leadership Conference, which seeks to provide the platform for sales and marketing and business development in the country.
The whole world has become very competitive, and therefore there's a need for us as even public sector operators to see the need to embrace sales so that we'll be able to change the status quo. I mean, we have to shift the paradigm from the normal way of doing things to now do it professionally and add a little taste of sales and marketing in the way we operate. That will bring us more, as a country, because if we want to position ourselves so that we're able to attract very good investments to the country, especially attract very good foreign direct investment, that will come with huge and phenomenal, cash. Then we need to position ourselves well.
Michael Ochibefi is the Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, and the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has stated that it will intensify efforts to directly support local businesses in the wake of external and internal economic challenges. President of the Chamber, Clement Oseamako, tells Joy Business his outfit will continue to perform its role in promoting and protecting the interest of the private sector.
With this magnificent building, it's a symbol of our existence. If somebody wants to come to your house, come to you, he wants to know where you live. I think that is significant, even with our cultural practices, to be shown your existence. And today, we are blessed having our own building. We've been renting over the years, paying some huge sums of money, for which we thought that it's not help our existence. And so it was the view of the new executive to continue with what our past leaders have started, to make sure that we get where we are seated, and so that when we have visitors across the globe, they really know that we exist.
And President of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Clement Osei-Amoako, speaking at the inauguration of its new national secretariat here in Accra. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
And Joe, thank you very, very much. This is your election headquarters. We'll be taking you onto the campaign trail pretty shortly with details of what's been happening today, some major controversies there for us to pay attention to right after sports with Ms. Bao.
Hello, Evans. Well, let's start from the CAF Women's Champions League qualifiers taking place in Ivory Coast. And Ghana's Azaka's ladies played their second game today and they lost to Nigeria's Edo Queens by 3-0. This follows their 0 goalless draw against Burkina Faso's Omni Sports Etincelle. Well, their next game is going to be against AS Garde National, and we'll be hoping to pick maximum points in that game to guarantee a chance of qualifying out of the group as one of the 2 best teams and hopefully go all the way and qualify for the main competition. Now to Alan Tremonti now, and he has criticized the government approach to sports development, calling it wrong. Well, Ghana has indeed struggled to make impact at various sports competitions in recent years, a situation often attributed to financial constraint. Speaking at a media event earlier today, Alan pledged to place the private sector in charge of sports to accelerate future successes.
Government has the wrong approach, has the wrong business model with sports. If government thinks that they can use government budget to develop sports, it ain't gonna happen. That is why if you read through the sports section, it's all about government empowering the private sector to establish sports academies and sports infrastructure and facilities of the highest standard. If a private person is investing, he will make sure that he does it very well and he will maintain them.
Alan Sherman, to the independent candidate there. Well, Evans was just some 50 minutes away from the start of the UEFA Super Cup final between Real Madrid and Atalanta. There's a Ghanaian player in the Atalanta side. Ibrahim Suleiman is a defensive midfielder. He's on the bench for Atalanta. And, well, the team itself, Atalanta, they are looking to upset Real Madrid tonight. Ademola Lookman was the man who distinguished himself in that Europa final against Leverkusen, scoring a hat-trick. The big question is, will he deliver same tonight? Listen to him.
It's a top team full of top players who are ready at any moment, you know. I don't think there's any best time to play Real Madrid. I think we've been focused on us as a team and what we can do in terms of our game and how we can put our effect on the game. So, you know, obviously they have their powers and, you know, they have their dangers. But like I said, we also have quality, so they're going to have to stop us in that sense also. So, yeah.
Demola Lukman, the Nigerian forward there. Well, Evans, just look at this Real Madrid attack. Just look at it. Kylian Mbappe is leading the line.
Scary.
Rodrigo is there. Vinicius is there. Look at the midfield. Jude Bellingham, Chouameni, Valverde, Ferland Mendy, Militao, Rudiger, Cavallal. And the big question is, can Atalanta stop this team?
Well, we'll see. You know, football sometimes can confound you.
Yeah, it can.
We'll see what happens. I really like the underdog story, so I'm rooting for them.
Real Madrid, underdogs and Real Madrid, yeah, they don't forgive like that. Anyway, we'll see.
They really don't. This is your election headquarters.
Coming up,
And your lecture headquarters is always brought to you by Petrosol Clean Fuel in full quantity, SIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, AICPA, and SIMA, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, the German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty, Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development.
Well, Evans, let's start with the NDC flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama. He says the president, his vice, and the former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, are the ones from whom Ghanaians demand an apology for the economic crisis and not the current finance Finance Minister Mohammed Amin Adam. We know that recently Dr. Amin Adam apologized to Ghanaians for the hardship caused by the domestic debt exchange program. However, Mahama argues that he is not the right person to apologize. Speaking during his tour of the Volta region, he labeled the yet-to-be-launched manifesto of the governing NPP as a manifesto of lies, accusing the party of continuous deceit. Marcus Agwaba has more in this report.
Nana Akufo-Addo. Jack Toronto. Number 2, the one who must apologize, is the head of the solid economic management team, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
And Masol Alagba joins us on the line right now. Masol, a lot of shades being thrown on this campaign platform. Did the former president provide any evidence to back the claims he's been making against both the president, the finance minister, but also I know today that he's also been laying into the running mate to Dr. Bawumia? Hello, Maxwell.
Yeah, hello, Evans.
Yes. I was asking you about what has been happening on the campaign trail tonight with John Dramani Mahama. A lot of accusations. Has he been providing any evidence to back that?
Well, he has been making the claim in most of the constituencies that we visited today. He first started at the Ho Asigame and then later moved to the Hohoi Zongo community and then the Biwegbe roundabout. And then now he's in the North Dai constituency, and then later we'll be moving to the South Dai constituency. Well, the claim about the Dachi bonds came about when he was interacting with students at the Ho Technical University. And he said that the Dachi bonds was spearheaded by the education minister, and it was to gather funds to complete projects that were uncompleted in some of Ghana's educational institutions. But he says the purpose for which the monies were collected have not been used, and that the next NDC government, if a future NDC government is elected, it will ensure that the people who he says misappropriated the funds account, for it. He just arrived here in the North Dai constituency, but earlier in the Hohoi constituency, he's been speaking and making allusions to the biblical shepherd, and he says that the Hohoi constituency is the only seat in the Volta region that the NPP has, and he's been urging the people to vote massively for the NDC so the NDC can take back that seat from John Pitameru.
And the point about the Dachi bonds, though, he was very categorical, mentioning Dr. Matupoku Prempeh by name.
We all know why we lost the parliamentary. And I'm asking people to search their consciences, because it's not the sustainable way. NDC can also say, we won't do any development. We won't extend electricity. We won't build schools. We won't do hospitals. We won't bring water. We won't do the roads. We will keep the money. Bawumia has his own cross to carry. He himself, that running mate, has questions to answer.
Revolution.
And what has been the reaction to him, though, on the ground, Maxwell?
Well, some of the students we have been interacting with here in the Volta region are quite excited about that, because they say that the GAT fund, they think, is not really living up to the purpose for which it was created. They feel that now their future has actually been mortgaged, and if the NDC flag bearer is promising this, then they think that he's the man that they would want to go with. So that claim during that interaction with the students at the Ho Technical University received a loud applause from the audience, who were largely student servants.
So thank you very much. And that Maxwell is on the campaign trail with John Dramani Mahama on the specific issues about the Dachi bond, though. We've just been joined by Fifi Boafo, who's a spokesperson to Dr. Matupoku Prempeh. We'll hear him pretty shortly. The Mahama placed it in context. Listen.
Revolution.
The NDC flag bearer visited 4 constituencies on the first day of his tour of the Volta region. Speaking later in the evening at a youth forum at the Ho Technical University, he said the cost of paying academic facility user fees for level 100 first-year university students is estimated to be between 270 and 290 million Ghana cedis.
The president, a few years ago, his travel budget for traveling in 9 months
amounted to 69 million Ghana cedis. They held one cabinet retreat at the presidency, one cabinet retreat. You know how much it cost? It cost almost 5 million Ghana cedis. There is so much waste in the system. And even if you look at the Office of President budget alone, you'll be able to cut to raise enough money to pay fees, academic facility user fees for all level 100 students.
He says the NPP running mate and former Education Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh has questions to answer on the Dachi bond, saying that persons who played any dubious roles will be made to account.
This person who is the running mate to Baumia was the Minister of Education. He brought a bond to Parliament called the Dachi bond. It has led to a collateralization of the GET fund. So this year, total receipts from the GET fund should amount to about 7 billion cedis. About 4 billion of that was taken in the Dachi bond by Napo and his Ministry of Education. Tell me, what was that money used for? The projects that they said they were coming to fast track and finish are still standing there.
And Fifi Bafo is on the line. Fifi, you've heard the accusations against the man you speak for, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Your reaction?
It's a welcoming news for anyone to say that there's a need for Dr. Opoku Prempeh to account for his stewardship as the education minister. Most importantly, the fact that he said as education minister and the NEC running mate, Professor Jinan Opoku-Agyeman, also served as education minister, and that track record is something that is there for everyone to attest to. But most importantly, to the question he raised about what the Dachi bond was used for. Project 3001 project from 2017 to date has been completed, and this includes 1,561 basic schools, 1,267 SHS schools, E-Block 16 TVET centers, 2 tertiary institution facilities, 153 model schools, 2. And among them includes legacy project, obviously, 1,827 basic schools, 1,007, SHS 662, E-Block 16, tertiary institutions 142, new project 1,174, including 554 basic schools, SHS 605, tertiary institutions 11, TVET 2, model schools. Of course, there are new projects that were also started or projects that are ongoing. 9 model schools under construction at the moment. So the former president is not aware of all these. I'm talking about over 3,000 projects that have been completed, and he says they are at a standstill. Obviously, he didn't get his briefing right.
No, but he raises questions about how monies were spent, for which reason we've seen the significant depreciation in the Dachi bonds.
Specifically, I'm sorry, how were the money spent which he has issues with? He only said that, well, he has questions to answer. Specifically, what did he do wrong, based on which he wants him to answer. If he should come out today to say that he did A, B, C, D, Dr. Prempeh will be very much prepared to answer those questions. But to answer the question about what the money has been used for, I am telling you, I'm reporting today that over 3,000 projects have been completed. And he says what the projects have not been done. These are facts that can be verified.
You talked about verifying those projects. You ready to put out the details for us to do a proper fact-checking of them?
Very much so. We are more than prepared. And you see, it is not just these projects I've talked about. There were supplies as well. Apart from these projects that have been completed, there were supplies. In fact, 2,718 vehicles, 1,500 motorbikes, a total of number of 677,470 furniture items that have been distributed to basic and senior high schools. These can't be verified. Indeed, support has been given through GET Fund for teacher provision of laptops to teachers. And former President Mahama says, well, the money has not been used judiciously.
We'll come for the documents that verifies these for us to do our cross-checking on this.
But Evans, the most important point to make is that we are ever prepared to discuss the record of Dr. Prempeh at the Ministry of Education. Can they present the record of Professor Jinan Opoku-Agyeman at the Ministry of Education?
But as far as this matter is concerned, though, you're ready to hand the evidence to us?
We are very much prepared. GET Fund will get you all the details, but we can surely pull them out and let you have it. that over 3,000 projects have been completed. How many projects did they complete under the stewardship of the NDC? As education minister.
And that day, Fifi Bafo speaks for Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempe. We'll get a copy of the evidence he says he has, and we'll be fact-checking those indeed for you as part of our responsibility, your election headquarters. Indeed. And there's a very interesting story, though.
Evans, it's time to go to church.
Let's do so.
Because a Catholic priest is also the acting rector of St. Stephen Rectorate in Bodumasi in the Ashanti region, Reverend Father Peter Chumesi, finds himself in hot waters after leading his flock in a spirited rendition of King Paluta's high life hit song, Asida, during church service. We'll tell you why, but listen to this.
In the background there leading the church singing that very popular song. And so what's the issue?
Well, unfortunately, this is not going well with the Catholic community. In fact, there's been mixed reaction on social media, forcing Father Chumesi to admit he got carried away and render an unqualified apology. My colleague joins me in the studio with a copy of that. Papani, tell us, what does it say?
So I'll give you just a sentence. It says, well, I let my guard down and allowed a secular influence to enter our sacred space. I realize now that my mistake has caused offense and confusion, and for that, I am truly sorry.
Will we accept that apology, Evans?
I'm pretty sure it didn't direct it at me. So, I mean, if you think it was directed at you, then you have to decide whether you accepted an apology or not. But the season is here, is it not? And so when you sing, so I think there must be something about this, because you see on the campaign platform, in particular, presidential candidate uses the song a lot.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
There's something about the song, though.
And then there is the secular bit. There's a lady who sings in church, and
she's in the studio.
I want to bring her into the conversation.
Tell us. Why are you putting me on the spot?
But it's an interesting point, is it not?
No,
They have the
it
priest
is.
apologizing for singing a song that and if I want to hear, I'm like, but that song is actually, listen to it. It sounds a bit more gospel
So
than
what's
anything
your question to me, though?
The question is, do you find anything wrong? Because I know you sing in church. If would you sing this in your church?
I mean, if I was led to.
Yes.
Yes. The thing is, if I was led to. The thing is that the lyrics of the song are not, they're not vulgar, and it says it's asida, it's giving thanks, it's saying that God has blessed us and it has pained you. I mean, I don't know. I think sometimes we make a big deal about things that are not really a big deal. Like, what would Jesus do? Would he really, really be angry, that people are singing?
For him to apologize, he may have felt the pressure.
I'm sure there was pressure, but you know how Christians do, a lot of pressure here and there. So, yeah.
Anyway, talking about that, what are you discussing tonight?
So let me ask you a question, Evans. If you had a lot of money, like you were wealthy, rich, and you were looking for a wife, would you hide, in this present day Ghana, would you hide how much money you had in your quest for a wife, or would you be upfront and loud about how much money
I
you
would
had?
definitely hide.
Why would you hide?
Of course, you have to love me for me and not my money. Sometimes money can get in the way.
Yeah. Okay.
So I want to take that away.
Well, that's the conversation we're having. When you're looking for love, how much of a role does having money play in finding a genuine partner?
Interesting conversation.
So join us. Yes.
Okay.
But what happened to honesty? I want to know how much you have, Evans.
You find out later.
Why does it matter?
It does.
Why?
I can help plan your finances as a good wife.
I asked for your help.
Well, you need my help.
I don't. If I had a lot of money and I made it without you,
Well,
then obviously I don't.
Well,
need
the debate goes on.
The
We have to
debate
listen.
is live shortly. You want to stay with Animwa and the squad on Strong and Sassy. Enjoy the rest of the evening.